Well, the temperatures are getting down to freezing at night, so right now our concern is to get some insulation around that PEX piping going into the well casing. This project is not totally finished yet. Scott's dad's supposed to come back. It's Monday, and he's supposed to come back from Anchorage tomorrow and finish the electrical and stuff there, but we were going to leave that all exposed, but we can't. It's just too cold, so I'm going to insulate it with some leftover ICF styrofoam block. So, see, there's a reason I didn't haul that to the dump yet. That's coming in handy. The other thing that Scott was doing today when it was warmer this afternoon while I was at work is to get these fasteners here along the bottom part. I know the ongoing roof project, but I mean, at least we had the panels up here and they were attached in place. I mean, with the fasteners hidden under there, of course, but this is just the finishing. And we really only needed 2 screws on each panel because we don't have, of course, if we were in like a high wind zone or hurricane zone, we'd want to put the 3rd one in here, but we don't have any wind coming off of the back of the mountain here, so we're okay with just that. So we're really pleased with the way the roof is looking here. Well, we have this in place exactly where we want it. We were double checking that. Some folks had some questions about positioning and was it installed correctly and stuff, so we made sure. One thing that's really nice about all of this stovepipe is that it has this nice directional arrow and it says up. So all of them have that, so we knew that we had it going in the right direction, and we're just finishing putting more screws in there. I don't know why one of the packages had these chrome colored screws rather than the black ones, so anyway, we're putting in what we have, and we can just, if we have to spray paint it or something later, whatever, replace screws. Right now we're just trying to get this thing finished and trying to get it as straight as possible and see if we're going to have to bracket that off of there, but anyway, it seems to be holding up pretty well. I think that don't you feel like the pipe is pretty lightweight considering that it's all double wall? Would you say, Scott?
Yeah, it's not that heavy, but it's heavy duty.
It's heavy duty, but it's not, whatever they made it out of, it's pretty impressive. Okay.
This one's pretty.
Ooh, what's that?
This is one's you, me, and mommy. And daddy. This guy was daddy. That one's me in the middle. That one's you. And the other one's a lion.
Whoa! Look at that! Cool! And what's that side? What's that one?
That's only me.
That's only you? Nice.
And here's a lion with a cheetah.
Oh, cool! What's their habitat? A lion and a cheetah. Where do they live?
Savannah. I drew the savannah.
Yeah, African savannah. Yeah, nice.
Kind of black.
Where'd you get that box?
From over there.
From over there. Let's see. What was in this box? A 45 elbow. Oh, perfect. We don't need that anymore. That's on the stovepipe. Where are you? I see you. So we have this all insulated down here. Scott's dad finished off the wires and all that needed to be checked today. So we're just filling it in. It was 28 degrees last night, Fahrenheit, so we've got freezing temperatures. We need to protect this thing. What's happening over here? Forecast has snow predicted for this weekend, so we were desperately trying to get our tent resurrected. And I gotta say something for a Costco carport tent, man, that thing is industrial strength. It got picked up and flown like a kite and it survived, so we've got it anchored down on some pretty serious railroad ties there. So now we just gotta get the wood back under it. And we've got quite a bit of styrofoam that we're going to use for insulation. Scott's dad picked up some of this metal, galvanized metal. He found a good deal on it, so I think we're just going to use that on this exterior around the where the rock is going to be eventually. So that's the plan, and Spencer's busy carrying these pieces of styrofoam in here, trying to heat things up. So this is what's happening with the styrofoam. So we've got quite a bit of project there to fill in the gaps and get that in place. They hung this door today, which definitely blocked a huge hole, which is awesome. And we actually have heat happening in here. Yahoo! Fire. The thing puts off some serious heat, so if we can block some holes in this place, all the better. So that's what's happening. Well, it's Sunday evening, 6:30, 31 degrees, so we're just 1 degree shy of freezing. And as you can see, what fell yesterday, that was predicted. So this time the weather forecast was accurate. That's why we were scurrying around all week trying to get stuff done outside here, because we knew that was coming. So unfortunately we didn't get these guys inside. We're going to have to cover them. Scott kind of tweaked his back a little bit trying to get them inside. We're going to try to get them to dry out, but anyway, we should at least get a tarp over them. Unfortunately, we did not get the sonotubes sunk and the concrete poured for the deck there before it froze. So I guess we're facing the harsh reality that that's probably not going to happen to the spring. But you know, it is what it is. Good news is this door was hung and filled a huge gap. We're still waiting on the windows. Hopefully they will be in by the end of the week, because those are, yeah, huge gaping holes. The Visqueen is at least blocking the wind from blowing in there, but certainly not holding any heat in. We were thankful to get the tent reconstructed. There was so much lumber lying around, and we were afraid that the snow was going to get on that and before we could get it organized. So we are extremely, oops, can't even see very well in there, but it's all organized. Can't see, it's too dark. By species. Thank you to Spencer, who is always willing to carry lumber back and forth for us. Bless him. So Scott took down this scaffolding that was back here. He is going to erect that along the front, so it will be easier to put up the upper windows on the second level. And all that wood got taken down and put in under the tent. So that's what we wanted, so we can work on siding eventually back here. Finish that bitch of thing up. Attempted to get the Tyvek up. We're still working on that. It's always one thing or another. So, you know, try not to get discouraged. There wasn't a whole lot happening this week. We thought we would get more done. Last week was good. We got quite a bit accomplished, especially with getting that well pump in and stuff. So now, what's interesting, well, we have to keep this little oil coil here going close to the pipes, and Scott has a little, I don't know where that thing is, a little temperature detector that, like, laser, he points it at something, and then the laser, I'm sure there's some technical name that somebody's going to say, it's called a blah blah blah. Anyway, he points it on his pecs here, and he said with this thing running close to him, it never gets below 55 degrees right there, which is pretty amazing for this little guy. And another interesting tidbit is that he shoots the concrete, and even without the fire going, in the wood burning stove, the floor is never getting below, 46 degrees. So that's not bad. Now, what we figured out is that we're probably wasting this, and we've got a whole pile of it, but we don't want to be wasteful, because really what's happening is, where all of those, where it's notched up there, that's where the venting is going to be above the styrofoam and the insulation. So, the heat is just going up and whoosh, right out there. So this is the major objective for this week, is to get these holes plugged, get the styrofoam across there and along here as well. So that hopefully when the window order comes in, we go back to Anchorage with just a big U-Haul, grab the windows and then the batting insulation that's going to fill those gaps and really tighten this building up. So it'll be easier to work inside without it being too cool. It's not, it's not terribly bad as far as temperature goes, considering. And, I have to say, I don't mind the cold. That's why I live in Alaska. I've got my toque on. I got my grungy work jacket. So, I don't mind being out in the cold working whatsoever. So that's why I live here and not in South Texas. Sorry, Dad. I did a few years down there. And Texas is great in the winter, but in the summer, too hot for me. So as all the Alaskans know up here, we've been watching the frost creep in, and we knew that snow was coming. So what's interesting is that Scott was telling me earlier that the forecast for this week shows the temperatures kind of going back up into the 40s and potentially like up to 50 maybe this week. So it could be strange. We'll see what actually happens. But nonetheless, we're ready to work in the cold if that's what it takes to continue to get this project finished. So I guess that's about the update. Scott was talking about up here in the loft where the door is. This is the issue is what we had envisioned here is just a really nice, handcrafted, like log custom staircase, something that, that we can work on and just be like an accent piece to this whole area. And we know that that's going to take a long period of time. That's why we were thinking the shortcut would be to build a deck on the outside for an egress to the loft. And we're like, okay, neither of these things are happening. We're probably not going to finish the project this spring, so just kind of get over it and move on. So he's going to close off that the doorway up there with just like a piece of plywood and use a bunch of styrofoam to kind of insulate that temporarily, and we'll see how things go there. I was going to ask, my dad was talking about using a type of tape that when you're installing windows that goes on the outside, kind of like a bitch-a-thing type thing just for windows. And he couldn't remember what it's called. And and so I would like to ask any folks for if you know a good quality product to use for that tape, that goes on the outside of the window sills and around the building when you're going to be installing the windows. And if anybody has any hints, any intel that you can give us about installing windows, we can watch like lots of installation videos, and every little bit of advice helps if people have actually done it. And because these are large windows. And we definitely want to do it right and make sure that this place is well insulated and all of the little gaps are filled. So yeah, any info on that would be appreciated as well. So we like to hear advice on things. Sometimes we don't take the exact advice, but oftentimes just looking at things from a different angle, people saying, hey, what about this? And we're like, well, no, we're not interested in doing that. But by looking at somebody else's thought process gets us thinking maybe from a different point of view. And, I think that that's always valuable. So we certainly appreciate the folks who take the time to give us feedback and input. And we're just going to keep cruising along in the journey. Thanks for joining us, and again, we certainly appreciate the comments.